Hi, Jenny. It's just me again, and that is all good. Today, again, I am getting more and more prepared. I have been doing Alexis Saranoya's Creator Challenge for 3 weeks now. And let me just check my camera. Yeah, it's definitely not the webcam on my computer. It is my phone, but I'm not doing a very good job at looking at my phone. So let's just see if we can move a little. Of course, all of this will be edited out. I shared in my last video, I shared in my last video that these live streams are practice for me getting used to making videos. Practice keeping my calmness and being able to remember what I wanted to say. So this week's title is Gen X ADHD equals this, like a really shady picture of me from last year when I was in the throes of like a really, really tough time after a huge burnout. So at that time, emotional dysregulation was a big thing, and I couldn't remember anything. I literally couldn't remember 3 numbers. If somebody gave me 3 numbers and asked me to recall them, I wouldn't be able to do that. And now with this channel, what I want to be able to do is research a topic and remember exactly what I want to say. And that's only going to happen if I keep my regulation. I'm going to be glancing down a couple of times because there are some fellow Creator Boost team members, channel members, who may be jumping in on this, and I don't want to miss that. But other than that, I'm going to try really hard to do what I came here to be able to speak about what I want to speak without depending too much on my notes. And in true ADHD style, I am not fully prepared for this video, not as prepared as I wanted to be, because despite my best efforts, the way my brain is wired, it does just wander off. The procrastination is real, and I will literally do anything other than the thing that I am supposed to be doing. So, because this is going to be made into a video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick look at my notes because I don't have them taped up in front of me. I've decided against the whole teleprompter thing, so I'm going to look down just for a second to make sure that I structure this video in a meaningful way and I'm not missing something really important, because the last thing I want to do is not bring value. So I got my cards. Shout out to Rob the Maritimer. It's a little nod to you. I've got my ridiculously long script with all of my notes all over it, saying what I really want to say. Make sure it's all in there. And about 2/3 into this video, I'm going to have to wing it because I didn't get to make the cards, which I like making this huge script more concise. So I'm going to look back at my camera and not the screen here. So some call us lazy, some call us unmotivated, but it turns out it's ADHD. That is, oh my gosh, see, perfection. Wanting it to be perfect. These are my words. And it sounds so inauthentic when I read them, but these are my words. Some do call us lazy. Some do call us unmotivated, but it turns out it's ADHD. Please stay and find out with me how we can work with and not against our brain. After seeing multiple specialists, taking multiple medications, going to therapy sessions, a psychiatry referral, and still after 1.5 years, waking up feeling unmotivated and overwhelmed, I realized there's something else. There's something else underneath it all. and it hit me. What's left is ADHD. And actually, this is really great news because there's so much research now. There's so many resources available to help us move past it. I've known that I've had ADHD for 10 years when I went through the process of getting both of my kids diagnosed through a pediatrician. At that point, speaking to the pediatrician herself, who was a fully functioning, successful adult with 4 kids and a full-time pediatrician practice, she had ADHD. She was medicated for it. And, she just was really a perfect example of what you can achieve when you work with your brain and she was a perfect example of what you can achieve with ADHD. It's not something that limits you from doing amazing things. One of the habits of ADHD people is a self-limiting belief, but as we'll talk about later in the video, this is something that can be overcome completely. As I have become more self-aware, I realize just how many damaging habits I have got related to my ADHD. And I think maybe there's a lot of you Gen Xers out there who have these issues too. So please jump in, write in the comments, and let me know your biggest challenges and your biggest successes. Like, what have you done to kick ADHD's butt? Because it can be done. And you will see, if you watch my videos over the next year, 2 years, however long it takes, because I'm not giving up, you'll see me overcome this too. So the habits. This is where things are going to get a bit a little less structured. We're not going to talk about the habits straight away. We are going to talk about the habits very soon. But the first thing I want to do is bring back how this relates to Gen X. So in Gen X, ADHD was massively underdiagnosed or misdiagnosed. And it was really thought of as just boys being hyperactive. There was not really anything other than this inability to sit still, not follow rules, and just be disruptive. And I believe even those kids, it wasn't like that kid's got ADHD. It was that kid is trouble. And I felt that very strongly looking back now and thinking about the kids who were probably really struggling. And that kind of hits hard now because I watch my son, who is 16. He's on medication. He has got lots of strategies. He's been seeing pediatricians and specialists since he was maybe 5 or 6 years old. And he's come a really long way, but the ADHD still causes him struggles. And picking him up from school today, it was kind of heartbreaking to hear about his day and hear him attribute the struggles he had today to him being stupid and a failure and not good enough and just oversensitive to noise. And not being able to help him myself, because right now I am still quite dysregulated. And I know that it doesn't matter what I say, he's going to believe those things about himself until he's ready to use the strategies to reframe that and to redirect those negative thoughts. So when I think back to the boys who had ADHD who were labeled troublemakers and what impact that had on their lives, it makes me emotional. But I think what was just as bad and possibly worse, let's just call it evens, was girls with ADHD or other kids with ADHD that was inattentive. And those kids, including me, were labeled underachievers, just not smart enough. And I was put into that class, the class for kids who they didn't even expect to get high school graduation. And now I have a master's degree in biomedical science. And I've had a whole career in that field, and I'm really proud of what I've achieved. But I still remember that pain, and I still remember the feeling of you're an underachiever. You cannot achieve even a high school graduation, and that there's nothing that can take that pain away. And going through that and having those beliefs because of other people's expectation, those negative thoughts just compound over the years, and it builds these ingrained habits in you of self-deprecation, not believing in yourself, ruminating in negative thoughts, and the other habits, which I've got in red scroll here on my script. Seeking external answers because your answer is never going to be good enough, and never completing tasks. Oh, that is just the worst. It's all the work that you put in to doing something and doing something really well, and knowing that that task, if you complete it, is going to have such a huge impact. Just like recording this video, I really want to do it, and I'm excited, and I just can't get to the finish line. That is kind of soul crushing, and those things do stay with you and compound out. But what we're doing now is we're going to talk about each of those habits and what we can do to make it better. And a little flashback to my last video on habits that can kill you. That video was the one that made me think about doing this video about habits related specifically to ADHD that are extremely damaging, because when I was researching habits, some of these ADHD ones just jumped out and hit me in the face like, this is you. But I didn't want to lump it in with my other video, because there are neurotypical brains are not exempt from these struggles. It's just that ADHD brains have no choice on being able to move past them. It is just so much more challenging to do the strategies that we need to do to move past those habits. Doesn't mean it can't be done. And as ADHDers, we are really used to working a lot harder than other people do. Now we're just going to apply that hard work to these strategies to see massive results in our life. And I really want you to come along with me for the ride. So the first habit of 4, and it's my last flashcard. So we're really going to be winging it from here. And I don't want to stay on for more than half an hour today, because I'm missing time with my family right now. They're all sitting upstairs, and I really want to be there with them too. So the first habit of ADHD that can be very dangerous is excessive rumination. I could talk forever on this. When this is made into a video, I'll be putting pop-up screens with the definition on it and reading those out maybe. But for now, I'm going to assume all of you lovely Gen X professional, well-rounded people don't know exactly what rumination is. And if you don't know, you know where to get that information. What I will talk about briefly is how that rumination affects me. So I've said many times across several videos, and even in this one so far, I've been off work for 18 months now, maybe a little longer. And every single day, the same thought pattern goes around and around in my head. You should be well enough to go back to work by now. Emotional reaction. But I do know that that workplace is not a healthy environment to go back to. And I don't have the skills to put myself into that environment right now. But also, I should not have to leave the profession that I love and the department that I have been a part of for such a long time, and a hospital that is in my community, and a position that I enjoy doing, because my brain doesn't fit the picture. And this goes on and on again. So the solution, we talked about these solutions in the last video too. It's a pattern interrupt. It's a reframe. It's a stop and flip the script. So what that can look like, the easier ones that it looks like and the ones I've been using, to kind of move my brain around is physical movement. So one of the physical manifestations of the mental turmoil I've been going through was fibromyalgia. So many aches and pains, reduced mobility when I don't move a lot. If I don't swim every day or go to the gym almost every day or do exercises frequently, my body kind of like just locks up and I have a lot of pain just sitting there, but especially when moving around, walking, bending or leaning. Crouching is the worst. Trying to squat, that really hurts. Moving my arms from like a upright position to down, that can really hurt. So movement has been essential for that, but it's also helping my mental state. Changing environments. This is another huge one. My therapist, my very first therapist that I saw after leaving the workplace and was trying to help me through moral injury and those thoughts, she was the one who recommended to me at first, change your environment. And since then, I've been watching a few YouTube channels on decluttering and minimalist life. And my favorite one right now is, I can't remember the name of her channel exactly, but her name is Robin. And I think it's Minimalist Home. And she's another example of someone with ADHD who is thriving. Her channel is amazing. Oh, I don't know why I'm getting emotional. I guess I compare myself to these people with ADHD and wonder why I am not able to be there yet. And everybody's different. Just because we've got ADHD does not mean we're the same person, and we've all got our own journey. And I'm on mine, and you're going to get to see mine. So there you go. And the last strategy I've got, the last solution for excessive rumination is to reframe. So when I think, Jen, you're never going to get this done, you never get anything done, I'm going to stop. I'm going to look at that statement and try and be as objective as I can. You never get anything done. Is that true? You know, you never achieve anything. I know for a fact that that's not true. So I have to challenge those thoughts and try and reframe them every time and focus on the positive things that I am doing. So the second habit is going to be believing that ADHD prevents you. So what does my note say on this? My ADHD, apparently, according to my inner critic, prevents me from being effective enough to get important tasks done. And I could barely get that sentence out for the emotion because it is such a horrible thing to say. I know that I'm just going to take a second to let this emotion pass, which in itself is something I can be proud of, because these emotions in the past would take me down. Now I can kind of let them pass. There was an amazing book called The Whole Brain by Jill Bolte Taylor, one of the people I've researched and kind of got to love along with Martha Beck throughout my journey. And because I'm a scientist, I love the science of how emotions hit in the brain and how you just let them pass. If you let them pass and you don't re-trigger the emotion, 90 seconds and you're done. So I'm trying to not let that thought reoccur, and I'm feeling like it's passing now. Deep breathing, another strategy. Grounding, another strategy. This is my nervous system. Oh, look, I see dust floating around in the camera. Okay, let's keep going. My ADHD apparently prevents me from ever being effective enough to do important and complicated tasks. Again, mean and absolutely untrue. And the strategy we can use, let's have a look here. The strategy we can use is just being kinder to ourselves, treat ourselves like we would treat another person. Remind yourself that there's just, remind ourselves that there's lots of different ways to approach things, and you are going to approach it differently. And it's quite possibly going to take you longer than a neurotypical person, but you are going to get there in your own way, and your own way is of value just because it's different. That's what makes the world interesting. So we may need to take longer. We may need to use more energy. We just have to hold these things in mind when we are telling ourselves that we can't do this. We have to reword that, reframe that as, I'm going to achieve this. It's going to take me longer. I'm going to achieve this. It's not going to be the way that other people would do it. We're going to go our own way. Habit number 3 is going to be seeking external answers. A really dangerous habit associated with ADHD. They're all really dangerous habits. These breaks always feel like they're 10 minutes when I'm recording, but when I watch them back, I see that it's like literally less than 30-second break, and I watch the video and I still feel happy to put it out there because this is me. It's really been the thing. That was the name of my first video, This Is Me. And I feel the same, that I'm actually being honest. And that's the whole point of me doing this channel. Because when I find an honest and real person online, I watch all of their videos. It makes me feel connected to others. Makes me feel like there's a community out there for me. So the third habit we're going to talk about that ADHD people have that can be dangerous is seeking external answers. For me, this equates to every decision or idea that I have is never good enough. If I came up with that idea, that was my answer, it's not going to be good enough. I am just waiting for people to take my answer down. When somebody asks a question, looks any kind of way, I am already jumping in my head and have that inner dialogue telling me your idea is useless. They think your idea is useless. And that self-deprecation and self-doubt can be very damaging. It can really change the way you live your life. If you don't make your own decisions, if you don't move towards what you believe to be right because you don't trust yourself, you can end up with a life that you never wanted, that is not true to you. And if somebody knows this sooner or hears this from this video and all of the other thousands of videos that are out there on YouTube about ADHD and the habits that we have, then that's a success. Because the sooner we stop listening to these thoughts and reacting to these habits that we have, the better our life will be. The last ADHD habit that we're going to talk about is never completing tasks. I mean, this one is pretty self-explanatory, right? In this video, I didn't finish my task. I walked into the kitchen, I'm making dinner at the same time. I'm doing 20 things at once. Dinner got finished, I completed that task. In fact, I've even made my daughter who's at work a plate of food in the fridge, and I've packed it up and I've pretty much cleaned up after myself while I was doing that and trying to prepare somewhat for this video. And I got a whole bunch of tasks done. But all of the unfinished tasks that happen every single day, those things, when they're not complete, sit in your mental cache, I'm going to call it. You like your mental computer memory, like an open task. And I don't remember where I heard this concept, but I did hear it recently. And I think it was one of the bigger podcasts, maybe like Mel Robbins or I don't know. But we don't have to go back and finish that task to file it away. We can just simply mark it complete. If we know we're not going to get to a task, it's obviously not important enough to get to, and we can just bring it forward in our head and call it complete and be done with it. We don't have to sit there and ruminate on the tasks that we haven't done, and we shouldn't. I really hope this does for you guys what it's going to do for me, which is just remind me of all these things. And hopefully I'll remember these strategies because I've talked about them. And it feels like there's a little bit more accountability now. We talked about the importance of accountability in my habits video. And the importance also of recognizing your wins and really thinking about things that you can be proud of, to bring yourself happiness, to be like, I'm so happy that I'm breaking these patterns. And that gives you a bit more momentum then to keep going, to keep moving forward. Watch your wins, measure them if you can. This morning I journaled, that was amazing. And I did write down some of the things I was proud of. So please do anything, do the same. Go check out some of the links that I'll put in the video description when I put this on my channel. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments, because I will read the comments. I'll read every single one and get back to them as soon as I can. So please share any comments, questions, success stories, things you're still struggling with. Please share them, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm committed. This is one thing I can be proud of. I'm going to complete it. And thanks again for your time. Thank you for watching. I'm Jen. This is Gen X Values. Have a good evening.